Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are on page 613 of our math book. We are starting our very first lesson in chapter 9. Our lesson today is called rounding fractions. And today we're going to practice rounding fractions to either 0, 1/2, or 1. So we can use benchmark fractions such as 1/2 to round a fraction to 0, 1/2, or 1. So we're basically going to be looking at fractions and deciding what are they closer to. If we were looking at a number line, are they closer to 0, are they closer to 1/2, or are they closer to 1? Let's look at our first example here. It says a poison dart frog is 2 inches long. This is equal to 2/12 of a foot. Is 2/12 closest to 0, 1/2, or 1? First thing we want to do is we want to create a number line. So you're going to use your whiteboards a lot today, and you're just going to be making number lines for all of these. You're going to mark off 12 equal increments from 0 to 1. So this is the number line I created. So it's basically we're just going to draw a line. Your first one is going to be 0, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now this does not have to be perfect. And I drew 12 because in this particular problem, we need to have 12 altogether because 12 is the denominator. So whatever the denominator is, that is how many lines you're drawing. I also put markers for where 0 is, where 1/2 is, and where 1/2 would be. So 0 is going to be your very first line that you draw. Okay, 1/2 is going to be whatever half of your denominator is. So we've been practicing chopping numbers in half, and so we know that 1/2 of 12 is 6. So the same place that the 6 is where my 1/2 marker is. And then 1 is closest to like 1/2, which would then start the next group. So we're going to find our fraction on this number line and decide, does it come close to 0, 1/2, or 1? Our fraction today is 2/12. So I'm going to find the 2 out of 12, which is right here. So all of these really have a denominator of 12. This makes sense, right? Because we know 6/12 is equivalent to 1/2. We're going to find ours, which we already did, is right here, 2/12. This is what we're being asked about. And now we can just look. So sometimes we can just eyeball it. We can see, is 2/12 closest to 0, 1/2, or 1? Or sometimes we just count the hops. So in this case, it's pretty clear, I'm sure you're noticing, that 2/12 is closest to the 0 marker. It's farther away from the 1/2 because look, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 hops away from 1/2. And it's way far away from this 1 all the way over here. So it's only 1, 2 hops away from 0. So that is what it's closest to. So 2/12 is about 0. And that kind of sounds weird, but that's how we're being asked these questions today. So that's how we're going to fill them in. So in our book, it says, which number is 0? Which number, 0, 1/2, or 1 is 2/12 closest to on the number line? And we noticed that it's closest to 0. So you're filling this in. Again, we're on page 613. So the length of a poison dart frog is closest to 0 feet. It is so tiny, it's closest to 0 feet. Here are some key concepts down here. So it says round down. If the numerator is much smaller than the denominator, round the fraction down to 0. So in this case, 1/10. 1 is so much smaller than the denominator, so we know that we're rounding down to 0. If the numerator is about half of the denominator, we're going to round the fraction to 1/2, so 6/10. Well, we've been practicing chop the number, so we know that 1/2 of 10 is 5, so 6 is really close to 5, so that's about 1/2. And then round up. If the numerator is almost as large as the denominator, round the fraction up to 1. So 9/10 is almost a whole. So we would round it to 1. All right, so now we are on page 614. We're going to look at the second example here. So we are going to be rounding 4/9 to 0, 1/2, or 1. So let's think about it. If I said, what is 4 times 2? So if I asked you to half a number, what number would be cut in half that 4 would be half of the number? 8, right? So if the denominator were 8 here, then this would be equivalent to 1/2. So 4/8 would be 1/2. Well, we're only one number away from that in the denominator, right? So 4/9 is really close to 4/8. So the number 4.5 is actually what's half of 9. And the numerator in 4/9 is 4. And that's really close to 4.5. So 4/9 would round to 1/2. And here's what that would look like on a number line. So we have 0, and then we have 1/9, 2/9, 3/9, 4/9, and then 1/2 is right here in between 4/9 and 5/9, 6/9, 7/9, 8/9, and 1 whole is the same as 9/9. So graphing 4/9 on a number line, here it is. We can see with our eyes, what is it closest to? 0 all the way over here, 1/2 right next to it, or 1 all the way down here. Clearly, it's closest to 1/2, right? So 1/2 is halfway between 4/9 and 5/9. So since half of 9 is 4.5. So 4/9 rounds to 1/2. Okay, let's look at our guided practice. I'm going to pull out my number lines again for this one. So they're nice and big and easy to see. So it's asking me to graph the fractions on the number line and then state whether each fraction is closest to 0, 1/2, or 1. And our first one is 5/6. So 5/6. I made a number line that has 6 parts, 6 segments. First I have 0. I'm starting with 0 always. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6/6 is the same as 1 whole. And 3/6, do you know, since if we cut 6 in half, we get 3. So that means its equivalent is 1/2. So that makes sense that they would line up here. All right, my question was asking me about 5/6. Let's find where I wrote 5/6 on the number line. Right here. Now let's decide. 5/6 is closest to what? 0, 1/2, or 1? Clearly it's closest to 1, right? It's almost 6/6, which is 1 whole. So 5/6 is closest to 1. All right, let's try another one. Let's try 5/8. Here's a number line broken up into 8 sections. Let's label our sections. So this would really be, if it helps you, you can write 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8 is 1 whole. It makes sense that 4/8 lands right on 1/2, right? Because half of 8 is 4. So these are equivalent fractions. All right, where is 5/8? That's what it needs us to find. Looks like 5/8 is right here. What is 5/8 closest to on the number line? 0, 1/2, or 1? The correct answer is 1/2. 5/8 is closest to 1/2 on our number line. All right, so let's look at our independent practice today on page 615. We are rounding each fraction to 0, 1/2, or 1, and we're going to create our own number lines on our whiteboard as we need them. Remember, the denominator tells us how many marks we need to make altogether on our number line. We should be starting with 0 or 0 out of however many marks we're doing, and then go all the way through until the end. The answers you're going to write on your lines today, you have 3 choices. Here they are. You're either going to write 0, 1/2, or 1. I am here. If you need me, we'll go through these together. Let me know if you have any questions.